Thank you for joining us for our continued programming as part of our FSEA online learning experience. My name is Jeff Peterson, the Executive Director of FSEA. Before we join our live webinar event today, I do want to remind everybody that's on to visit our virtual trade fair on the homepage of our FSEA online learning experience. Click into the trade fair area and visit our sponsors and click on their videos and look at their websites. And really spend some time with it, and we really want to thank our sponsors, and we appreciate our attendees spending some time looking at their products and services. I now want to introduce to you Shelly Otenbaker, President of WayPoint Marketing Communications. Shelly has over 20 years of marketing communication experience and works with clients to determine what differentiates them from their competition. Today, Shelly will be sharing her ideas on recruiting, training, and retaining the workforce and recruiting the next generation workforce, a very important topic for our finishing, binding, and the entire printing industry. Before we begin, I do want to let everybody know that there's a little boxed area where you can ask questions during the webinar presentation. Go ahead and write those in and then hit send, and we'll take as many of those after the webinar as possible. So without any further ado, let me turn it over to Shelly.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for the kind introduction, Jeff. I'm very excited to be here talking with you all today, and although I wish it could be in person, this webinar is the next best thing. So before I dive in, I just want to let you all know that I will make my presentation available to you all, so no need to hurry up and do screen captures or whatnot. You will have this at your fingertips after the session. So with that, I will dive in. So because I'm new to you all here at FSEA, I thought I would just share a little bit about who is WayPoint. And we are a 6-year-old marketing communications agency that works with small to medium-sized businesses to help raise awareness, increase visibility, and generate leads for companies. And when we look at leads, we look at those as two different things. We look at leads to be new business opportunities as well as new hires. So no, we're not a recruiting company, but yes, we do help companies attract and retain talent through strategic communication strategies and activities. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about. So because today's environment is a little bit different with the COVID crisis that we're going through, I just wanted to note that recruiting and retaining talent today is still equally as important. You know, before all of this happened, it is ranked top among leadership across industries as one of their top leading concerns is this next generation workforce. And I think depending on your company's situation as we move through the COVID crisis, it creates some additional talent challenges that will need to be addressed, so it continues to remain important. So just to get our heads wrapped around what we're going to be talking about today, and to have you start thinking about your business as it relates to your management of talent, I'm going to throw out just a few questions to think about. First, do you have a talent management strategy in place? Are you prepared for the future workforce? Do you have a talent pipeline? And are you using marketing for your talent attraction activities? So many people feel like marketing is just for business development, but I feel it's equally as important for talent acquisition. So I know you're familiar with this funnel over here on the right-hand side, but typically you see it as a sales funnel, and it's the process of attracting leads and moving them through the funnel to intent to purchase. Well, I want you to think about your workforce as an audience, and that this funnel is an employee acquisition funnel. Marketing plays an important role in the hiring process. It creates awareness of your company, as well as engaging the right people to move them down this funnel through the different phases to the hiring process. So a lot has changed in the past 2 decades as it relates to talent acquisition, including the name. I don't think anybody used to say 2 decades ago talent acquisition. And I might be dating myself, but when I started my career, I had my resume and my cover letter printed on a really nice piece of paper with the matching envelope. Does this starting to sound familiar? I used newspapers and trade publications to find job opportunities, and then I used snail mail and the phone to correspond with a potential employer. Obviously, and thankfully, this process has evolved, but so have the needs and wants of the next generation workforce. So let's take a quick look at these folks. So in 2020, 50% of the US workforce is made up of millennials, and those folks look at things very differently as they're analyzing what type of a work environment they are looking for. When we look at these characteristics, I don't think there's anything surprising. You know, this is the generation that grew up with smart technology and smart cell phones, so they want technology. They challenge hierarchical structures. They want the flexibility to work when and where they want. You know, they're open to change, and they want to build relationships with managers that deliver constant feedback and recognition for a job well done. They're looking for a place where they can continue to advance, as well as some place where they can have a social and an enjoyable workplace. So unfortunately, all too often, I'm running into companies where the leadership are not open to some of these characteristics or changes in the workplace that are appealing to the next generation workforce, which brings me back to one of those questions I started out with. Are you ready for the next generation workforce? And I think there's work to be done, because as your current employee, your current workforce continues to age, more and more people are going to be retiring, and you're going to have to embrace these younger generations. And so work will be done and adjustments will need to be made. But for this discussion, it's important to note that in addition to having these different needs and wants in the workplace, they're also looking for jobs in a different way. These folks know everything about your company before they even submit a job application or a resume. They're qualifying you and your company without a single conversation. Let's take a look at a couple statistics. So 75% have researched a company's reputation before they apply for a job. 73% found their last position through social media. 62% are used social media to evaluate employer brand, while 59% have visited a company website after discovering a job opportunity they might be interested in. This means job candidates are using digital tools. They're using websites and social media and job boards and other sources to determine if what your company offers and how you operate and what your commitment is to your team. So think about that for a second. If someone searches for your company online, what do they find? To effectively recruit a workforce, you need a talent management strategy. Statistics show that people change jobs 12 times during their career, and an average employee tenure is about 4.3%. Now, this might be a little bit longer or shorter in the print industry, but on average, about 4.3%. This means you'll need to be continuously replenishing your workforce. And to do that, it's helpful to have a talent pipeline. So by having a pool of candidates available before a position is open, you'll be able to reduce time to hire, be able to get better candidates, improve the experience level of those candidates that you have, and importantly, you'll be able to reduce recruiting costs. So all of these will help your business run more efficiently and drive success. So many of you out there are probably saying, well, I don't have a talent pipeline, and how do I do this? So if you're looking at how to do it, there's a few steps you can take. First, it's important to identify your long-term needs. What are the characteristics and the type of people you'll need in the long run to continue to meet your business's goals? Once you have that, you can work on attracting and engaging candidates. Once you have candidates in your pool, you can assess those candidates to determine who are those that you think would be valuable or the right candidates as you're looking to align with your business's goals, and then you nurture those candidates. It's not something that's done overnight. It certainly takes time, and there are a lot of resources that are put into place to get something like this up and going. But once you have it up and all of the strategy and work put into it, it is a lot easier to maintain. So if we could open up the phone lines, I can hear you all now saying, this really sounds great, Shelly, but how do I attract and engage candidates? Well, I am glad you asked. So let me share 5 action steps that will help you get started. So first, conduct an audit. Take a look at all of your marketing and recruiting materials. Pull them together, read them, analyze them, and see what they say. What picture are they creating about your company? Is it easy for people to access the materials? Is it up to date and current? Does it reflect your company's culture? Is it inviting? It's time to really be honest with yourselves and really take a step back and look at what it is you're sharing with the world. I even would suggest that you take the opportunity to talk to some of your new hires, some people that you've just recently brought on board, and ask them about their experience. What impressions did you get about the company? How was the interviewing experience? What did you walk away knowing about the company before you stepped into our facility? So once you have a better understanding of that landscape that you're talking about, you can identify those gaps, and that's what you're looking to do with an audit. What are we doing well, and where are the gaps? Next, secure leadership support. So your company leadership needs to agree that talent and the future workforce is important for company's success, and that building a pipeline will help the company perform better. So I'm from Detroit, which is known as the Motor City. So we all end up working in automotive in some way, shape, or form. And I do too. I have some clients in the automotive industry. And several years ago, some of the very progressive automotive suppliers understood that there was going to be a talent gap, and it's an issue that we're going through right now, that there are not enough software engineers and folks to work on electrical engineers, folks to work on advanced technology in the automotive industry. Some of them started their talent pipelines early and are better positioned to manage that gap and that challenge, while others did not. And now they're struggling to fill their workforce. They're competing with the likes, their own supplier communities, but also with the Googles and the Apples and the other innovators of the world. So it's important to get leadership buy-in to support the activities, and it's also important to build a business case for that leader to understand. So what challenges do your company face that the right talent can help solve? What are the talent gaps? Also, what the strategy that you put together for your talent also has to align with your business goals. Talked about that a little bit in the beginning. For example, if your business goal is to grow revenue, how are you going to accomplish that revenue growth with your current staff? Or do you need more staff or different types of staff? Or if your goal is to leverage new technology to be more efficient, does your current team have the skill set that you need to adopt that new technology? The right talent can help unlock the door for many business strategies. Third is connect to HR and marketing. So I think a lot of you on the line are small to medium-sized businesses. So you may not have a large HR or marketing team. You may outsource those capabilities as well. Whatever your structure is, it's time to bring them together so that they are aligned and working in tandem. Many of the same tools and channels that you use for business development can be leveraged for building your talent pipeline. The channels are very similar. It's oftentimes just the messaging that you're adjusting slightly. Fourth, and importantly, maybe most importantly, is establish budgets and metrics. So what does success look like? How are you going to measure the effectiveness of your strategy, and what are you trying to accomplish? Some of these metrics can be, can look at, for example, like reduced time to replace an employee, or we want to transition the team to have the right talent, whatever we insert that is, within the next year, or increase employee retention rates, and this would result because you're hiring the right types of people, or fill all of our current talent gaps or skill gaps in the next 2 years. Whatever those success metrics look like, they need to be in place so that you understand what you're trying to accomplish and you can plan accordingly. And equally as important, you need to understand your budget. And I'm not saying you have to have a huge budget to do this, but you just need to know what you have. Do you have $5,000? Do you have $25,000? Do you have $125,000? All of that would be important to understand how you can prioritize your tasks and determine what can be accomplished within that budget. One last note on this is that both the budget and the metrics need to be aligned. Now, you certainly can't climb a mountain on the budget of climbing a hill. So you need to make sure you're realistic as you align the budget with the metrics. Finally, build and populate your channels. This is what I'm going to focus on for the next few minutes, how to create content and leverage your channels to attract talent. Your channels are the tools for success. The most important tool is your website. I'll repeat that. The most important tool is your website. It's the foundation for all of your recruiting activities, not to mention your business development activities. And I know I hear it all the time that, yeah, I've got a website because I have to. I don't attract any talent and I definitely don't get any new business from it. But I assure you that this is not correct. That people are looking at your website every day and making decisions on whether to engage with you or not, whether it's a business person or a potential candidate. So if a job seeker's experience on your website doesn't align with your desired brand identity, you may lose this potential candidate. So when you look at your website and you want it to be effective, there are sort of 4 baseline criteria that we want to make sure that you have. It needs to be current. No one wants to work for a company with an old, ugly, hard to navigate website. That only tells me that your company is not technology forward, that you're not innovative, that you are not the best of the best in your industry. So you want to make sure it's current and updated. You want to have a career page. This will show that it provides you an opportunity to show all of the aspects of your company as it relates to career development. It allows you a place to post jobs, and it provides you a platform to talk about what it's like to work at your company. You want to be able to communicate your company culture on the website. What is it like to work at your company? What does it stand for? How does it operate? It's not necessarily the what you do, but the why and the how that you want to make sure you communicate as it relates to employer brand. You know, for example, are you a culture of continuous improvement? Do you have training in place and leverage technology to advance your team? Do you have a can-do culture? You're a group of problem solvers doing whatever you can to get to help your clients succeed. Is your culture rooted in innovation or perhaps sustainability? It should be clear on your website what those are. And then finally, there needs to be an opportunity for candidates to engage, to submit questions, submit a resume, watch a video, learn more. All of those types of things will allow people to get better insight into your company. So, when was the last time you visited your own company's website? Well, I went in and visited many of the folks who registered for this event sites, and I found some pockets of success. I found some pages, some sites had career pages, some had details on pictures of employees, some shared information about the culture, and many had opportunities for engagement. I also saw that there was a lot of room for improvement as it relates to communicating your employer brand. In other words, why would you want to work for this company? Who will I be working with? How does this company support the community? How does it support its employees? These are all questions that potential applicants are wondering and hoping to learn when they visit your website before they come in, before they apply for a job or come in for an interview. It's also important to engage your current team and allow them to have a voice on the website. Perhaps a video or an employee testimonial about their work experience or what it's like to work at the company or how they found success. Again, I cannot express how big a role your website can play for your talent acquisition strategy and for attracting and engaging job candidates. Next, we're going to look at digital tools. These are third-party tools that your company and potential job candidates can use to learn more about different companies, jobs, and positions. You should all be using social media. Now, I'm not suggesting you need to have a Snapchat channel or be leveraging TikTok, but you all should be using LinkedIn. It's a very important business tool for you to leverage. Additionally, because many of you have a very visual aspect to your business, Instagram would be another potential channel for communication, and it aligns nicely with younger generations. So how many of you have heard of Glassdoor, Indeed, Google Business? I'm going to go into these in more detail on the next slide, but again, these are all tools that could be leveraged as you're looking to build your employer brand. And finally, there are a number of HR-specific online tools that can help streamline the hiring and onboarding process and make it much quicker and user-friendly for both sides of the business. If you want some information on those, I'm not going to talk about them today, but I'm happy to share some of my favorites. So back to LinkedIn. Do you have a company page and do you post? So I would suggest that it's a must. You should have a company page so that people can understand what you're about, and you should be posting to it at minimum 4 times a month. So that's once a week. You could post some piece of content to the site. What about Glassdoor and Indeed? So I recently saw a statistic that said on average, job candidates looked at 7 job sites during a job search. This means they're using these third-party sites, and if you're not, you're losing out. For those familiar with Glassdoor and Indeed, for those not familiar, sorry, with Glassdoor and Indeed, they are sites where you can post jobs and you can host company profiles, and current and past employees can comment about their work experience. So this feedback can be both positive and negative. So it can be difficult and challenging sometimes to see those negative posts, but they provide good feedback that you should be listening to. And it's critically important, if you're going to be using these sites, to make sure you do have a strategy that involves encouraging current employees to post, so that they do provide a good glimpse of what it's like to be working at an organization. In fact, I have a client whom I work with now. He was recently hired, and he almost didn't take the job interview because the company, my client, didn't have a glass door. He said, I didn't think it was a real company if it didn't have a glass door. So, you know, the millennials and the Gen Zs, that's what they're looking for, is they're building their criteria and who they want to work for. And their criteria for thinning out what interviews they're going to take. Another tool is Google Business. Now, this is really thought of more from a business development side, but again, when somebody searches for your company, it pops up on the right-hand side of Google. It allows you to put information about your company, images about your company, and both employees and customers can comment and give reviews. So again, another tool that is worth making sure that it's up to date and has the most current and accurate information. So all of these tools that I've just talked about, they're free. They're free to use. They also have a paid portion of them where you can get more capabilities through the paid portion, but I really encourage you all to take a look at them and investigate using at least the free versions. Now, I'm going to answer a question you all are wanting to ask. So what am I supposed to post on my website and my social channels to communicate my employer brand? Okay, this honestly is my favorite part. I'm a communicator, so I love to communicate. First, you need to define your employer value proposition, or EVPs, as we call them. These are 4 or 5 key messages that you want potential employees to know about your company. A great way to develop these is, again, to go back into your current workforce and select people at various stages of their career. Select somebody that's been with your company for 20 years. Pick some people that have been there for 5 years. Pick some new hires and everywhere in between, and interview them. Why did you take a job here? What's your favorite part of what you do? Why do you stay working with us? What would you tell your peers about your current company? This exercise will be incredibly insightful and will help you identify what are those things that really resonate with your current talent that you can take out to attract new talent. And that's what your EVPs will be. So once you have those, then you need to continue to engage with these employees and turn them into ambassadors. Leverage their stories that share real life examples of what you can accomplish by working at the company, and then turn those into content, into words, into photos, into videos, into podcasts, graphics, anything that you can to use that's the content that you want to utilize in your website and with your digital tools. When I start working with clients, many of them say, we do not have any content. Shelly, there's nothing anybody would be interested in our organization. We're just running here every day, doing our job and making our customers happy. Well, I can guarantee you that is not true. All companies have good stories and content to share. It's just that people are overthinking it. Content doesn't have to be earth-shattering. It just needs to be authentic and honest. So, for example, does your company recognize an employee every quarter for outstanding performance? If this is something you do, we should name the program, whatever the program name is, and we should include it in our website. We have this program that recognizes our employee. When you get an employee, you should once they receive the award, snap a picture of them and create a post on your social channel with their name, their picture, and why they were recognized as an award winner. Perhaps collect a testimonial from that person that you can use in an internal newsletter, and you can also use on your website's career page. If you look at some of the examples that I have on the slide here, I have these are from my clients. So Intertech is one of my clients. During this COVID pandemic, we asked employees to submit positive thoughts that have resulted from the pandemic. And then we took them and made them into this graphic, which there's an online service that does it. And then we posted it, tying it to the company's solution-based culture. So super quick, took like 10 minutes to put together. And we were able to reach over 1,000 views with this. It tied to the company's culture, and it was a quick and easy thing to pull together and post. And it also engaged our current workforce. Harbor Results is another client, and as an example, you know, we reached out and asked the team members to send us their work from home pictures. We've created a collage and then push that out. Again, very quick. It allows people to understand that we're working through this COVID. We're all working from home. We're with you. And again, super easy, super quick content to do. Another example is if you have interns or co-ops, you could ask them to submit a couple of thoughts about their experience at your company. They likely have to do this anyway for the program they're in, but then you can create a quick snippet for your social channels with some of their answers, or post the whole Q&A on maybe an intern portion of your website or a careers portion of your website. I think you're seeing how this goes. So you can take one thing or one activity and leverage it across all of your platforms and through multiple mediums. If it still seems overwhelming, my suggestion would be to put together a calendar. So think each month we'll cover a specific topic, and in that topic, we'll build content around that topic. So for example, say, okay, in July, we're going to promote our company's commitment to the community. And so I need to find stories. So, you know, Bob over here in logistics, he volunteers every week at the Humane Society. Let's do a little feature on why Bob volunteers weekly at the Humane Society and what he does. That would be a great story. Or looking company-wide, maybe, you know, over the year you did a food drive for a local food bank. So then let's talk about that. There are a number of different things you can pull together. And then in August, okay, we're going to focus on internships and co-op programs. Okay, so let's talk about what we have in the future as it relates to these programs, some openings and opportunities as some piece of content. We could also do a review. In the last 5 years, we've had 50 interns, and 10% of those folks are still working at our company and thriving, and then feature one of those people. So you see how this goes. So every month you have a theme, you build content under their theme, and once you have it planned out, you can get ahead of it. So instead of working on July's content in July, in May, you'd work on July's content, and in June, you'd work on August content, so you can get ahead of it. Again, it takes work, but it can really deliver. You can see how sharing this type of information can give job candidates a real glimpse at what it's like to work at your company and create excitement and engagement in joining your team. It also, this is part of the retention part, it also engages your current workforce and gets them excited about what's going on. They're also on these channels and viewing, so they're also benefiting from the content that you're sharing and being highlighted and recognized as part of that content. So that really brings in the retention part of your current team. And a super special bonus is your customers will love it too. I can't tell you how many customers engage in posts and comments when we're talking about our employer brand activities. They like to see us engaging, they like to see you engaging teams, as well as insights about your company's culture. Okay, so I can't go without having a slide on the COVID-19 pandemic's impact. So it's the elephant in the room. So as I started out saying, it's certainly a different time, and we still think that attracting the next generation workforce is important, but it's certainly something that we need to think about as we look at the future of our company. So I'm gonna talk about it as it relates to your talent. So first, continue working on your pipeline through the hiring freeze. So all of you, and I'm not sure you're all in a hiring freeze, I'm just saying everybody's in a certain scenario. Do you have furloughed people? Do you have laid off people? Do you have your full staff, but you have a hiring freeze? Whatever your scenario is, you should continue to be working on your pipeline. If you stop now, it will only put you behind when we get out on the other side or when we're dealing with the new normal. You just want to continue to be working on this and making sure that you're communicating what's going on with your company to ensure that you're ready to react and do what you need to do to be appropriately staffed through the crisis. Unfortunately, not everyone's going to survive the crisis. So there will be an opportunity for you to get some really great talent. I know that sounds horrible, but it's true. Not every company is going to survive, and that there is going to be some talent out there that could really benefit your company. I have a client that recently hired 3 seasoned professionals who were let go because of COVID, and these folks are really going to play a significant role in them achieving the business goals that they've outlined for themselves. It could create an opportunity. Do you need a new skill set of folks? Is your business going to change for good? Are there things that are going to stick because of what we've had to do for COVID? In other words, a common one is work from home. Everybody has some level of people that are working from home or had worked from home. Is this an opportunity for your company to increase your flexibility with a work and home environment, or is this an opportunity to maybe decrease some fixed costs? You don't need as much building space or office space. Are there other skill sets that are needed? So it's a time to take a look and see what does your future workforce look like, and what do those skill sets that we're going to need. Or be prepared to share how you manage the crisis. As I said, millennials and Gen Zs are very interested in the culture of the companies that they're working for. They're going to want to understand what you did, what actions you took to survive. Did you fire everyone? Did you include everyone? Did everyone, including leadership, take pay cuts? Did you force people to work even if they were uncomfortable? Did you make health and safety a priority? All these things people are going to want to understand, so you need to be prepared to talk about those. 5, communicate. Communication has never been more important. You need to make sure you're communicating your current status with your employees, your customers, your pipeline if you have one, all of your audiences. What are you doing, and how have you survived the crisis? How are you managing your business, and how are you and what are your priorities? And then the time is now to start working on your employer brand. There always will be an excuse as to why you're not working on this brand. You're working on sales, or you've got to drive some efficiencies in your process, or you've got to take out some costs. There's always something that's going to be to be pushing you away from this, working on this. So I say just draw a line in the sand, go back to the 5 steps for getting started, and execute. So that's everything I have for you today. I know it's a lot, and I hope you found it valuable. So one of the things that we'd like to offer to our new friends at FSEA is a little bonus. We would like to provide an employer brand website review to anyone who's interested, where we'll take a look at your website from a potential employee's perspective, and then we'll provide some high-level feedback as well as recommendations that you can implement on your current site. Additionally, we'll look at some job descriptions if you'd like, and provide some insights on those. So all you have to do is contact me and let me know that you participated in this webinar, and we can go through the details and make it happen. So I think that's everything, Jeff. We're ready to, if there are any questions, that we can open it up for questions.
Okay, thank you, Shelly. And I see you have your email there, so anybody that wants to take advantage of talking to Shelly about helping them with some pointers on their website. One question that we had here, Shelly, talking about websites, just had asked, so that you are recommending that they have a career area or section on their, company website. I think, I think, certain companies do have that, but you see a lot of them that are just focused on their own products or services, and that's not part of it. But it sounds like, through your presentation, you are, highly recommending that there's a career area on the site.
Yes, exactly. I do recommend, and you can have it as a standalone section. It could be under the About Us section. I'm not really a stickler about how you have it on your page, but I do think to have a location where you can talk about what it's like to work at your company and the type of people that you're looking for from a broad sense, and then a spot where you can even have job postings on your site as well, really gives you a leg up as on your competition that doesn't have that site, and it really gives your potential job candidates a sense of your company. And again, even if you don't hire all the time, to still have that up, and even if you don't have job candidates or you have no positions available, or you could even say something like, we're always interested in the right person. So if what you're reading here intrigues you, like, reach out to us. I even think that is a value.
And I think that, we're running into this a lot as far as that video is becoming more and more important, to have that as part of what you're doing, like with your website. It could have, there's video that we're trying to put more into our e-newsletters and so forth. And, I think that's something that younger people look at as well. And I think, and this is a question that I'm kind of re-saying in some ways, but, what is, I would answer this, I think that, that are answering that, do you need a video, somebody that's, heavily, has a lot of background, let's say, in video or this type of thing. And, I would think, people need to realize that it doesn't need to be top quality, or that you have to hire somebody outside to do an employee video or something along those lines. What's your comment on that?
Yeah, I would agree. I think if you're looking to, again, just give people a sense of what your workforce is all about and what it's like, and if you're hearing from the voice of an employee, it's better. Sometimes it's better not to be overly produced. You don't want the person to be scripted and for it to look perfect. You want them to be in their natural surroundings, on the shop floor, next to the machinery that they might be working on, or in their office, engaged with their team. You want it to be authentic. And I think, especially with today's technology, you know, smartphone technology, you can really get a high quality video with some good sound to use on your website or in your social channels. I also would recommend podcasts because, again, I think this is something that is growing in popularity, especially with the younger generations, where you could just do a simple voice Q&A and do some light editing and again, post up something that people could definitely do on their own.
And, you know, the other tool that really I never heard of until COVID-19 hit, and I think a large percentage of people never even heard of Zoom until 3 months ago. And that's actually another tool that you can use for like maybe, you know, as you said, just an interview with one of your employees that you record on Zoom. We use that for this, you know, for our online learning experience these 2 days for some of our main sponsors, where we did a little interview with one of their main people at the company, and we recorded it on Zoom, and it worked really, really well. So, you know, again, I think that's another tool that's out there that people are now using, we know, a lot.
Absolutely. There are so many tools out there. There are free applications where you can even build what I'll call is like a static or a presentation movie where you could build different slides, add music to it, add words, pictures, and it can share a story. You know, we use that for new hires oftentimes to introduce them to people. There's all sorts of technologies out there that are free or very, very low cost and easy to use. So that's one of the other good things that has happened over the past few decades is they've made it easier to leverage some of these tools and more affordable.
Great. All right. We're getting close on time. Before we end, I do want to mention for those on the webinar this afternoon that starting at 1 o'clock Central Time, we'll have additional programming that'll be available to you. That'll include a great panel. It's pre-recorded, so I was involved in it, but those who want more information on cold foil, the impact of cold foil on the embellishment landscape, we have a great panel with that and talking about cold foil and also cast and cure. Some really good information there. And then there's also an interview that'll be available this afternoon with our new chairman for FSEA, Greg Greenwald. And Diana has a little interview with him, and we talk about some of the benefits of FSEA and some of the new projects and so forth we're working on. So be sure to do that. And if you didn't get a chance yesterday to get on the presentation for all the Gold Leaf Awards, take some time to do that. We have some video in there. We certainly have a PowerPoint with all the awards, and then we do a really kind of fun video on the best of show and so forth. So, you know, take some time to get on there as well. Shelly, thank you again for being with us and your presentation. We very much appreciate it. And hopefully we can have you live one of these days coming up in the future.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.